Check 1, 2. Check 1, 2. Check, 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 check. And welcome all to BMRL Season 6, Tier 1, Race Number 8. As a reminder of our standings before we get into this Grand Prix, we have Dark Jr. leading the way for Red Bull with 136 points. Frazier right behind him in the Red Bull at 98 points, followed closely by House and Ella, who are tied for P3 in the standings for the Alfa Romeo. Following not too far behind is Niox in the Mercedes. Matt Moore Island with 43 points in the AlphaTauri. Elite Scythe, Frozen, some loser named Jake Laser as a reserve, and Bratty Terror tied with Dark HD in 10th place. So, we go to the track known as Portimao. This track is in Portugal. It is a very interesting track. A lot of elevation changes. A 4.6 kilometer lap sends the driver swooping up and down the hills before culminating in a plunge down to the final right-hander gap. This track features approximately 9 right-handed turns and 6 left-handed turns. It is a tricky circuit, especially if there is weather. I don't know right now what our weather looks like, but what's great is we do have 14 drivers here today. All of the race leads are here in attendance. Basically, the whole top of the grid is here, and we are looking ready to go. I am by myself today here on the mic, but we will have some fun as we try and figure out what the weather's going to be like, because this stupid game doesn't let me see if it's going to rain or not. All right. Let us dig in. We have some cars coming out right now onto the track. Optic and Heth and the Haas are coming out now. Ella is coming out of the pits. We have JP Hughes and the Aston Martin coming out. We have Yassine reserving in a Williams coming out, a Tier 2 driver. We have House in the other Alfa Romeo coming out to warm up, and Matt Moore Island coming out. It looks like a cloudy afternoon here. Everyone's out on soft, so it doesn't really look like there's wet weather on the horizon for now. Maybe we'll see what happens when these laps get started and how quickly these guys go through them, but definitely doesn't seem too bad at the moment. Let's see who's going to cross the line first for their first hot lap. Looks like we're going to be on board with Matt Moore Island. Let's see him go around as he crosses turn 1 and 2. Very high speed. Has to then bring it back down to third or second gear to go back uphill into a really tricky left-hand turn. It's tough to get on the gas here. He does keep his wheels on the track. Now goes back downhill, approaching turn 6, where he has to bring it back down the hill, get into a lower gear, and then step back on it as he goes back up the elevation into a couple of tough right-handed turns, including this most difficult turn on the track, an uphill right-hander. You can see Matt losing his rear end a little bit there, but keeping on the power as best as he can. Matt is now going through sector 2 as best as he can. I may have lost my F1 audio for some reason. Let's see if I can get it back up. There we go, it's back. And Matt now is entering in sector 3. He has to take this long, swooping right-handed turn, get on the gas as early as he can, hug the right-hand side of the track, bring it up all the way to the line. Let's see what he sets the pace for the day at. It is a 1:17.6. Not a bad time to kick it off here early in the stint. Let's see who else is coming around right now. I need to get the track map up. We have Ella in sector 2. Optic is on his way through. JP Hughes takes the lead by just a tenth. We're going to stay on board here with Optic as he goes through his final 2 turns, bringing it back down, trying to get on the gas early, ride his way on the left curbs, and then swoop it back to the right as his teammate Heth puts it in at a 17.2. A solid banker from him. Let's see what Optic JS20 can do as he gets across the line. Right now, it is a 17.7, puts him P4. Ella now has passed her final couple of turns. She steps on the gas. She's riding the inside curb, and she is coming up to the line, and she crosses third with the 17.3. House still sets the pace now with this 17.1. Great lap from him, which is broken by 4/10 for Frazier. I did not catch his lap, but it was a solid lap. M-Watt comes through with an 18.6, sets his banker. Let's see Yassine now, who's on his lap. Coming around turn 2 into turn 3. He just started this lap, so we'll follow him along now. Turn 3 becomes turn 4. It's a tricky uphill to the left racing line. He keeps it within the lines, really easy to invalidate there. Back down the hill, trying to avoid some traffic. Everyone's doing a good job of keeping out of the way, so we'll see him come now through sector 2. Again, really tricky to come uphill to the right side here. He keeps it on the gas. He's looking pretty solid here in this Williams. Williams can drive a little bit complicated at times, but he's keeping his wheels on the track. Sounds like, kind of looks like he has a nice high wing setup, enabling him to keep his wheels down, stays pretty stable. Catches a little bit of overturn there, but looking good otherwise. Coming around now into sector 3 before his last 2 right-handed turns. We'll see him drop it down the 4th. He accidentally gear shifted up the 5th there. That's a little bit tough of a scenario, but coming around the last 2 turns now, full on the throttle, hugging the right racing line, doing what he can to get to the line. Let's see what kind of banker Yassine puts for himself. It's a 117.2. It's P4 for the Tier 2 reserve. Let's go over to Matty102, who just finished Sector 1. Let's see what kind of time he puts up on the board here for his first banker. He is in the middle of Sector 2. His Sector 1 was a 22.2. Not bad at all. He is racing around the circuit right now. We'll see what he gets to at the end of Sector 2 here. In the Ferrari this week with Dark HD as his partner. That is a 52, a 29.8. Not a bad time there in Sector 2. We'll see now what he can do to wrap it up and bring home his banker lap. The red wheels on the red car of the Ferrari as it hums around the last corner, heading down to the straight. Matt is bringing it in. This looks like it's going to be a solid lap. It's a 117.13. He is in P3. Again, another reserve driver. And before that, Bratty Terror just misses provisional pole by 4/100ths. A great banking lap from him as well. He is right up there with Frazier. Going down the list, we have Dark HD warming up his tires. Dark Jr. and Cruder Vase are still in the pits. It looks like Ella is out on a lap. Once again, it looks like soft tires for her. We will see what she can do with this second run here. She goes just a bit faster, a 117.17. This is really close with 3 drivers in the 117.1s right now. Just behind her teammate by 4/1000ths. Not bad at all. Let me try and bring up the track map so I can get a better view of everything that's going on here. Bring up the tires. And as you can see, Frazier and Bratty Taylor Josh lead the way pretty much by 4/10ths of everyone else right now. So rest of the field has some work to do with their next couple of runs. All right. We have Matt Moore Island starting his second flyer. He's through Sector 1. But then, oh no, he oversteers. He has to bail on this lap, goes a bit wide. He cannot put it together. He's going to have to try and go around and see if he can recharge and throw another lap together. Let's get on board with Dark HD, who's finishing up his first flyer. He brings it to the line and goes just to 10th place. Let us see what time that is. I have tires enabled. Gap to fastest lap. There we go. He only goes 10th fastest with the 117.8. It is not a bad banker at all. It gets him on the board, gets him going. Let's cut over to Heth, who is working on his next flyer. He had a solid Sector 1. He's going through the very complicated uphill Sector 2. He has a little bit of oversteer, solid correction. He's These tires are brand new. He's gone around on an outlap. Let's see if he can improve on his time here. Let's watch the Sector 2. He is down by 0.2 on his own time, so it does not look like an improvement currently. He's really struggling for grip right now. I'm not sure if track temperatures are being a pain for him or not, but it's been a struggle for him to keep these tires in a straight line, especially as he steps on it. Let's see if he improves the rest of his lap right now as he brings it back up to the line and it goes into the pits. He knew he was down on time. He's going to save those tires for another day. Optic Jake now halfway through his next flyer. Let's see as he approaches the end of Sector 2 if he is improving on his time or not. Going downhill now at the end of Sector 2. Let's see what it is. He is almost 0.3 faster on his time. This is a great improvement from him. If he can connect the last 3 turns here, he will be good to go. Right up there in the top 5, I would predict, this early in the session. Frazier, I didn't catch it again, but improves his time by almost 0.3. 0.3 clear of the field. As Jake now comes to the line, let's see what he can do. His time's looking good. He goes a 1:17.1. That's one of the best times I've seen him do on this track. A great second lap for him, up into P4. Fantastic lap from him. M. Watt has just started his next lap. He is on used tires right now. We'll see what he does as he comes around on used tires in Sector 1. He has some traffic ahead of him. They'll have to get out of the way. Maybe causing some dirty air, but he does drive off the racing line and picks up some dirty air. Yeah, he's way off his delta right now, so. Matty, 1 of 2, and Josh, Ratty Terror. Josh has invalidated. His lap's over. Let's go down to Matty, 1 of 2. See what he's doing here as he gets past his first sector. Let's read his time as he crosses the line right here in Sector 1. He is 0.3 up on his time. That is a fantastic start. He is on brand new tires here, but he oversteers into turn 5. Oh no, he has to bail on the lap. It was looking so good and just caught too much dirty air from the car behind him and oversteered it. That lap is over. He may have to try and recharge if he has enough gas to come back around. Looking back now down at JP Hughes as Dark Jr., again, I missed it, goes fastest overall in his first run with a 1:16.19. Unbelievable pace there from Dark Jr. Of course, he heads the field. JP Hughes crosses the line, improves just a little bit, but he still stays down in 9th place. Let's see if Matty 1 of 2 has enough power to save up on some energy before he can go for his next run. What a lap from Dark Jr. Just unbelievable to send 1 lap and go in the first place. Just like that. Ella is out on fresh tires. Matty 1 of 2 dives into the pits bailing on his lap. Matt Moore Island is on his lap right behind Ella, so we'll start with Ella as she comes around into turn 5. She is up on her time currently. It's looking solid. About 0.2 up on her time right now. She's coming around into the tricky uphill Sector 2, where she's able to step on the gas early, use as much of the track as possible, riding the curves. She has a setup that is very grounded right now, looking confident, trying to improve on that 1:17.1. She does have some traffic in front of her that's going to have to get out of the way. They both do. We'll see if any of that dirty air slows her down at all, but she, again, continues to improve on her time. That's another 0.2 up. She gets into the final stages of Sector 3, stepping on the gas, gets on that power so early and comes around up to the line. We'll see how she finishes up before I go back to see where Matt has gone. Ella crosses with a 1:16.6 up to P3. A great improvement from her on new tires. Matt had a little bit of slipstream here. Coming up to the line, let's see how he does. He improves by 0.4 but only goes 9th fastest. It's a 1:17.2. These times are absolutely incredibly close so far right now. Heth had to bail on his lap on fresh tires. He looks like he does have enough fuel to recharge and start this hot lap. We'll see what Krudervase does as he dives into the pits. Everyone seems to be preparing for their final lap with about, 4 minutes left here? So let's follow Heth's on board as he dives into the pits, yeah. So everyone's just going to try and get their car ready for this last flyer. About 3.5 minutes left. We have Dark HD warming up his tires. We have... who else is out here? BMRL is on a flyer right now. Let's take a look at the data and see where he's standing. It's tough for me to tell if he's improving or not. He is not. I'm not sure what this lap is all about right now. He's out of battery. He must be coming back into the pits after his last flyer. That's my mistake. Let's see if Dark HD can improve on his first lap. He is on fresh softs. They are 0 laps old. They are at a time of 17.8, so he knows he has some work to do here to try and get back up into the top contenders as they all sit in the garage and get ready to come out. So Dark HD, this is his final run here, realistically. He's going to try and set the pace for the rest of the field to finish up qualifying, so let's see what he can do. He is improving on his time by about a 10th in Sector 1. He's coming around now into the very challenging uphill Sector 2. We'll see what he can do in terms of keeping his grip as the track temperatures, I think, continue to plummet. They are only about 32 degrees, so it's actually not too bad. It's ramped up a bit since the start of the session. Dark HD is now almost 4 tenths up on his time. He went about 2.8 tenths faster in Sector 2 than he did on his last lap as all the cars start to pile out of the pits and line up, queue up for their final laps. But let's see what precedent Dark HD can set for the rest of the field as he comes around the last 2 turns. He roars up to the line. He opens up the DRS flap. He is pounding through and only gets a 1:17.3. He's 10th. He's 10th. He does not really have enough battery to do much else, and he just retires. So let's go back up to the field. We see Ella leading the way on used tires. She's going to be the first one here of the rest of the grid to set her final lap. She dives into the pits. I think that's it. I'm not sure if she was on her lap. She may have been on her lap and it just wasn't working. So she's done. She's settling with the 1:16.6 P3 so far. We go down to MWatt. He is going to be the first one to cross the line as we see the rest of the field queuing up in Sector 3 right now. We'll stay on board with MWatt, see how he does, see if he's improving his times, and he has some times to beat out in front of him as he currently sits P12. Goes down the 5th gear on turn 1, revs it back up the 6th gear on turn 2, has a bit of a moment into turn 3 but catches it nicely into the left-hander at turn 4, opening up the DRS. Let's see if he's improving on his time in Sector 1. No, he is dead even right now. I'm not sure if he's queuing up enough on these fresh tires to do enough to improve. We'll look back from him real quick. His teammate, let's see if he's improved. His teammate is improving, but we'll stick it up here at front at MWatt and then work our way back through the track to see how everyone's doing. MWatt getting through the rest of Sector 2. He'll cross the time marker here on the downhill and we'll see what happens. He crosses it. He is improved. He is up by about a 10th on that sector alone. So we'll see what kind of improvement if he can squeeze into the top 10. But I'm not sure he'll get into the 17s, which is really what he needed here to improve the most. He is invalidated. That is really unfortunate. We go down to Krudervase, who is on his lap right now. This is really the first lap he's doing for this stint. He failed his first couple laps. He is absolutely flying to the line. He's going to get a 1:16.6. He goes P4. We go back to the other Aston Martin, JP Hughes, who goes P5. We go forward now to Optic, who improves a little bit, P7, a 1:17.0. We go look at Matty12, who goes P7. We look forward, Josh finishes with the 1:16.2. He doesn't take it away from Dark. We look at Heth, who does not improve and stays at P10. We now look down at BMRL, who improves a little bit and only goes to P9. And then Dark Jr. just blows away the field, puts it on a 15.7. House improves, goes to 6th place. Dark Jr. is an absolute animal. He had P1 in the books already, but improved on his time. That is our qualifying session. Unbelievable. A 15-7. Wipes the field by 5/10. Just untouchable. P1 by a mile. Josh made him sweat a little bit in P2. He got a 16-2, I believe. That's probably the fastest time I've ever seen Josh do here. Maybe he did a 16-1 once. Frazier really wasn't far behind, but I don't think his third lap really came together. Ella, we've seen do a little better as well. I don't think she had her best effort there in the end, but she's comfortably in the top 5, sitting at P4. We have Krudervez putting together one lap in P5. House did pretty solidly for some of the times that I've seen him do in P6. JP Hughes, Maddie 1 and 2, Optic, and Matt Moore Island round out the rest of our top 10. Heth, Dark HD, Mwat, and Yassine, who disqualified himself. I'm not really sure what happened there. Round out the rest of our top 10. So, I don't think there have been any surprises here with our leaderboard here in qualifying. Responding to some messages, getting ready for this race. We're going to have to see if weather plays an effect at all. It'll be very interesting, but, you know, not really any big surprises here. I think we have a clear top of the board. It really comes down to strategy. So we're going to have to see what happens here and what kind of weather we have. I'm trying to look over and see if anything's popping up. Nothing right now. Let's try and get to my live timings. I see a forecast about not too high of a percent of rain right now. Not too high, I would say. I don't want to give away the exact numbers, but we're gonna see what kind of tires everyone starts on here. Get into our race director. Show everyone the tires that we have right now. Actually, I shouldn't give that away. I changed my mind. We're getting ready for the race. I'm not sure if my data has updated to reflect what percentage of rain we may have. It looks kind of dark and gloomy out in the distance, but maybe just kind of an overcast. Either way, we expect Dark Jr. to lead the pack here, and the people who are following him are going to have to make some strategic choices to try and see if they can undercut him or just do something different, because raw pace, who knows what'll happen. But here we go. We have 5 lights. We are away at Portimao for our 8th round of the season. Josh gets away better than Dark HD, tries to take him on the inside, but he forces him wide and backs off into turn 1. Dark Jr. gets away cleanly. He starts to run away with Josh right behind him. Ella makes up a place, making a move on Frazier, who's now under attack from Krudervez. I'm not sure if they're going to go side by side into turn 4. They are into turn 5. Frazier on the inside, cuts back off Krudervez and defends the line. House stays in 6th behind. Maddie makes up a place. JP Hughes makes up a place on Dark HD. Optic drops down the 10th, but we are clear through Sector 1 and into Sector 2 right now, with Dark HD running away. Heth has dropped down in the 13th right now. It looks like our weather's going to stay dry for this race, so the main strategy here is probably soft and medium tires for everyone. That's the best thing to do as the hard compound. Oh no, Optic JS20 just had an incident, and we've created a safety car. I didn't catch what happened. Hopefully he didn't make contact with anyone. His teammate has some front wing damage. They may have had an incident together. I hope that wasn't the case, but Heth has some front wing damage. Jake is out. I really hope there wasn't some teammate on teammate crime. That would be so unfortunate. Man, that is really, really unfortunate. We see Heth dive into the pits to go get that fixed. Man, that's tough. I'm not sure what happened there. We'll have to go figure it out later. But yeah, here we move on. Here are our tires. We have Dark Jr., our race leader, actually on the softs in the next 6 cars are on mediums. This is what we were hoping to see. Someone on a slightly different strategy to try and change it up, go along on these mediums, try and overcut Dark Jr., but it's going to be a challenge because Dark Jr. can go for an undercut, and we know how capable he is of really driving away from the rest of the field at this point. So it's going to be really interesting to see Dark Jr. against the world here, especially with all those medium runners behind him who could wind up fighting it out while he runs away into the distance while these softs are still in tune with each other. But nonetheless, this helps Dark Jr. cut down that number of laps that he has to try and do at the end of the race on very used mediums because he can save these soft tires for as long as possible. But yeah, the only other outlier here is Matt Moore Island, who's chilling on these hards. He's made the choice from starting further back in the grid to put on the hard compound, try and go as long and overcut as much as he can, and probably go to a soft compound at the end of the race. So yeah, not looking too bad. Let's go take a look at what kind of position changes we had from the start. So Ella basically swapped with Frazier. She had an incredible move, I believe, in the turn 4 and 5 to take the position up into P3. We had Maddie 1 and 2 make a move on JP Hughes to get in front. Dark HD took advantage of some contact, I believe, in the turn 5. He's made 3 positions up. Yassine, I believe, took advantage of the collision between the two Haas drivers and make his way up to P11. Mwat went up a position, and because Heth had to change a wing, he has dropped down to P13 right now. So again, we may have had a little bit of a Haster class, and something didn't go well. But we move on. We look forward. We'll see what happens. I believe the safety car should come in this lap, with Dark Jr. again leading the way. He's sitting at a cool 6% on these tires right now. Again, this could not have gone better for him. He just needs to keep these tires warm, and he should be able to run away now. I'm looking at some fuel numbers. Everyone's looking pretty similar here. This track does take a little bit more fuel than an average track. It is not smart to underfuel too much, but because of the safety car, you are able to really clean up the fuel and save up as much as possible. So everyone's looking pretty good here on fuel, especially with the safety car. So safety car is indeed coming in this lap. Let's hope that the front of the grid kind of respects each other here as we queue up. There is a very long opportunity to try and restart here. Of course, you need to stay behind the drivers until you cross the line, but it can get really tricky, especially with a lot of drafting happening, following close along on the straight with the high wing setups, and you can almost time it to get past someone. So, all right, 3 laps into the race, 30 laps to go. We have Dark Jr. warming up his soft compound tires, and he's going to hopefully get away here after he gets through this last turn and try and keep Josh Brady Terre behind him. He gets away now. He turns on the battery. It's clean. We see Josh behind him trying to do what he can to stay in the slipstream with Ella right behind him, followed by Frazier, followed by Krudervase. Dark Jr. makes turn 1 clean. He's through. Brady Terre is clean. Ella's clean. Frazier's clean. Everyone's queued up beautifully behind each other right now. Heth trying to make a move from the back onto Mwat to try and make up some places after his pit stop terror. We have Dark Jr., though, on these soft compounds, nice and warmed up with plenty of battery, looking to just create a huge gap here and try and undercut the rest of the field. No position changes since the restart so far. Everyone's trying to keep it clean within the lines. We'll see what kind of penalties we may or may not have right now. No penalties. I don't know about track warnings or anything yet. I'll go look at that in a little bit. But for now, it's clean. This is just going to be a test of who can drive in dirty air, who can keep it between the lines, because it is a very challenging track to be able to not take track limits, and who can make their soft compounds last the longest. Let's step back in the field here as positions 10, 11, 12, and 13 are really battling it out, going to for that final point. We have Yassine now right on the back of Matt Moreisland on those hards. They take a couple laps longer to try and warm up. Yassine's making a move up the inside into turn 1. Let's see if Matt backs off. He does. He goes wide. He maybe tried to avoid contact, and that compromised him to allow Heth to take advantage and go by him. Matt Moreisland can't be happy with that, as he probably feel like he got squeezed a little bit, but he avoided contact. This has allowed Heth to get into an advantageous position to try and go up the inside of Yassine. He kind of squeezes him on the outside, but leaves him enough room for Yassine to stick on the outside line, which has better grip. But Heth puts down the power, turns on the battery, and gets in front of Yassine. It's 2 places up for Heth. What a move. He goes from P13 all the way up to P10, taking advantage of the situation in front of him. Brilliant racing there from Heth. That was pretty clean, if I do say so myself. We'll go look up at the field now. Bratty Terror is doing a fantastic job of keeping by Dark Jr. He has not let him run away yet. I believe the DRS is open. We'll try and confirm that now. It may actually not come open until the next lap, but he's keeping it within the DRS range, and you really just can't ask for anything more. Yes, it will be enabled this lap. It looks like Josh should be able to keep it there, right into Sector 1. Matt Moreisland looking to stay on the back of Emwatt to get back a place. It is a hard versus soft. This is going to be challenging in the turn 1, and he properly backs off because that would have been very dangerous to try and make that stick on those compounds. We now have DRS open for Josh as he comes into turn 5, trying to keep the gap as close as he can to Dark Jr. ahead. He's actually doing everything he can properly here to do the right thing. Matt Moreisland waited for his chance. He makes the move in the turn 5. He makes it stick. We have Emwatt, though, on the outside trying to keep his pace. He cannot. Matt Moreisland is through on the hard compounds, using the DRS down the turn 4 to 5 straight. It makes it count. He is back up in the 12th position, looking to ride long on those hard tires. Looking forward, everyone is in DRS range right now with each other. Places 1 through 8. It is going to be a DRS train. Ella may have just gotten out of DRS of Josh, who may have just gotten out of DRS of Dark Jr. Let's see if he does open his flap. I'm not sure he got it. He did not. Let's see if Ella got it. She did. Frazier got it behind. So did Krudervase. So did House. So did Maddie. This was not good for Josh. He did burn enough battery, though, to catch back up and try and get back into the DRS of Dark Jr. He is able to turn it on here and try and keep with him. But what it did, it forced Ella to back off enough so she does not have DRS, which allowed Frazier and Krudervase behind her to put it on and catch up a little bit. We look down now. Heth has made a move to go from 10th to 9th on Dark HD. He goes around the outside to try and make it stick. They're side by side in the turn 6. Heth gets in front. Another brilliant move from Heth. He makes it stick again. He's now gone from 13th to 9th on 1 lap fresher medium tires. He is putting on a clinic at the back of the grid right now, trying to make up places for himself. Fantastic move there from Heth. Sorry I missed half of it. A lot going on here by myself. I will note up in front, Ella has reasonably fallen off the pace by about 3/10. She will not have DRS here going into the main straight. Josh, however, will. He is doing what he needs to do to put the pressure on Dark Jr. and make him make a decision on when he wants to undercut. The DRS turns on for Josh. He gets out of the dirty air. He is just going to do what he can to stay right behind Dark Jr. We look back at Ella, who was overtaken on the straight by Frazier. I missed it. She was vulnerable with her wing setup. She did not have DRS, and she had to cede the position to Frazier, who was back up in the P3 after losing that position to her earlier in the race. She is, however, able to slot in right behind him and between Krudervase as well, open up the flap. She really isn't at that much of a disadvantage right now, but doing what she can to stay in the DRS train. And what that has done is allowed her to propel Frazier forward to get on the back of Josh and right back into a DRS train. So again, our places 1 through 7 all are in DRS right now, and they are following each other, doing a great job. of carrying each other around. Now, I have seen some cars go over track limits here and there. I'm not sure what number we're at, but I do suspect some penalty for track limits coming here shortly. It's really hard in the dirty air here to stay in front of people. Let's look back now. House is within 0.3 of Krudervase. He opens up the DRS. Krudervase is flashing in front of him. House chooses not to use the battery to stay behind, maybe make up his next decision to overtake on the next turn. He has a couple of cars flashing in front of him. They are low battery. It looks like all of Fraser, Ella, and Krudervase are low on battery right now. House is just going to wait for his moment, keep it close behind, and there's the first one like I thought. Watt takes a 3-second penalty for track limits. Unfortunate for him, but he'll try and look to keep it clean the rest of the way. Yeah, it looks like Fraser through Krudervase are all struggling with battery. Dark Jr. and Josh are pretty solid. House is able to save battery. Maddie 1 and 2 through Heth are also struggling for battery. So a thing to note, this track is very challenging to keep battery charged. The DRS train helps, but in order to stay in the DRS train, you have to use battery to keep up with people. So it is a challenge. Let's see what House decides to do here. He is in this DRS train. He has more battery. He's the closest car in this train than anyone else. But he also knows that if he uses too much here, he's not going to be able to use his advantage. He does have a lot of overspeed. He is able to deploy. He goes up the inside of Krudervase. He is well ahead in the turn 1, and he makes the move, going from 6th to 5th. What a move. He is now back-to-back with his teammate Ella right in front. We'll see if he has enough in him, though, to defend from Krudervase, who is right on the back of him, going between turn 4 and 5 with DRS. Fortunately, though, his teammate is close enough to him to allow him to open up his own flap and stay in front. Very clean, opportunistic move there from House. He has kept it in front. He is now up to P5, I believe, after starting P6. Great move from him. We have... Oh my gosh, I can't believe I missed it. On that straight, Josh actually overtook Dark Jr. The cutoff and drop-off on the softs has shown itself, and Josh has taken the lead of the race. I'm so sorry that I missed that. Unbelievable job by Josh to stay in the DRS train for so long and capitalize. He looks like he used some battery to get ahead. He has about a 11 to 12% tire difference. It has made a difference in this race. I think Dark Jr. has to be sweating a little bit. But look what we have here. Dark Jr. has the DRS. He has energy. We'll see what Josh can do to defend going in the turn 1. They are side by side. Dark Jr. has a lot more speed. He overtakes him back. I caught it that time. Josh tries to deploy a switchback, but is going to be smart. Save some tire and battery life here. Maybe get a better exit out of turn 4. Open up his own flap, because once you're in second place here, you can now charge right back at the leader, and Dark Jr. sticks it and keeps it in P1. So I missed Josh's overtake, and on the very next lap, Dark Jr. takes it back from him. Brilliant racing from the front, very clean in the turn 1. That is a dangerous part to overtake each other at, and these two are battling it out, which has allowed Fraser to keep behind, and again, the DRS train continues all the way down the Maddie 1 and 2. Looking back now, Heth has finally closed the gap a little bit to JP Hughes, who is indeed on a soft compound, and there's about a 10% tire delta between the medium that Heth has and the soft that JP Hughes is on, so you would think that Heth's going to start to make a move here soon. Seems that House may have had a little bit of an issue. He's now dropped out of the DRS, but deploys a little bit of battery to make sure he gets back in. We're going to look up the field now as Fraser has found himself in an attacking position on Josh, fighting for P2. Josh is deploying a little bit. Fraser's deploying. He steps off, allows Josh to stay ahead as they approach turns 3 and 4. As Maddie 1 and 2 takes a time penalty going into turn 1. And like I predicted, Heth takes advantage of the soft runner JP Hughes and makes a move in the turn 1 and passes him. So turn 1 has been the most opportunistic part right now of the track for people to overtake each other. Maddie 1 and 2 right on the back of Krudervase takes his 3-second penalty. Not going to be happy about that one, but he does see Krudervase in front of him flashing, so he knows he'll do what he can to get ahead of the cars in front. House appears to be really struggling on these medium tires as they've hit the first drop-off. He's really fighting to stay in the DRS of his teammate in front of him. There's really not much she can do, though, in order to keep him there because she needs to stay in the DRS of her teammate. Of her podium fighters right in front of her. So, we're going to look forward to Dark Jr. He's about 9/10 ahead of Josh. He has to make a decision soon, kind of fighting on that 50% tire delta compared to the rest of the field. Has a ton of battery. He seems to be comfortable and confident. But, you know, whenever he decides to undercut, he's going to have an advantage going on mediums the rest of the way, at least for the first 3 quarters of that stint. It's really going to be interesting if he stays out for as long as he can and pits around the same time as those medium runners. Taking a look at our forecast, we got about a 15% chance of wet weather. Not too concerned there at all. We have Heth bringing up that backpack of cars. He is about 5 seconds behind, and into turn 5, I just missed Krudervase overtaking House. We have Yassine overtaking JP Hughes, who appears to be really struggling on those softs in the back. So, yeah, House, as I said earlier, was really struggling. He really fell off the pace on these mediums. Not really sure if he just lost comfort in his setup or what it was, but it made him vulnerable to Krudervase, who took advantage of him in the DRS zone between turns 4 and 5. So, Krudervase has now fallen off of the top 4 cars here. He's about, 4/10 from getting back into the DRS. The top 4 cars, Dark Jr., Josh, Fraser, and Ella, are all, a comfortable DRS range from each other, just kind of training each other around, being very comfortable with what they need to do. House may try to attack back here on the main straight on Krudervase. He knows he's going to have to back off, though, try and force Krudervase to make a mistake. He does not. We have Dark HD in the back, who just made a move on JP Hughes, who has really fallen off on those softs. He needs to get into the pits as soon as possible to pit. And Matt Moore Island just got overtaken by M-Watt on the 13-lap-old softs. So not a good look on those hard tires right now for Matt Moore Island. Hopefully he can find some confidence and go a lot longer. But those are 13-lap-old softs there. We'll try and watch Matt come right back at M-Watt. He's going to not dive bomb down the inside. He'll play respectful and stay back. So, once again, to recap, top 4 drivers in a DRS train. The next 5, 6, 7 positions are in a DRS train together. Unfortunately, Matty 1 and 2 has a 3-second time penalty holding him back. But the question is, when is Dark Jr. going to pit and get off of these soft tires? He is having an incredible stint. He's able to stay out in front, lead the pack, use battery when he needs to, save as much as he can. But, the longer he goes, the more interesting it'll be for him to try and hold off everyone else. I just missed it. House makes a move in the turn 1, gets past Krudervase. Unbelievable job by him to stay right back behind him, even though he's been struggling on the mediums. And at the back of the grid, JP Hughes takes a 3-second time penalty. M-Watt falls off. Matt Moore Island gets back ahead of him. But yeah, House gets back in the P5. Gonna try and close the gap. We have Matty 1 and 2 now closing the gap up to Krudervase and House. They are all really close to each other. All of them are flashing. Krudervase has the least amount of battery here, so House is going to do his best to try and get away from Krudervase, but that's allowing, Ella to stay ahead and his teammate to run away from this little pack a little bit. So let's watch again as we come around the final couple of turns. We're nearing half the total number of laps run here so far this race. I wouldn't say anything's too surprising, except for Dark Jr. finally diving into the pits. He goes 14 laps. Those tires were at 63% an incredible stint. He didn't take advantage, though, of the situation and run away from the field. He's going to have some work to do to try and get past everyone back. So we'll watch him on this medium stint. Going to try and undercut the field. But when these medium runners all put on soft tires, they're going to have about, 5 or 6 laps of early advantage to try and close the gap if there is indeed an undercut. Dark Jr. comes out in 10th, right in front of Matt Moore-Island, who is on his tail. He has to warm up his tires a little bit. I'm curious to see what everyone in the front, if anyone's going to react to it or just try and go for the overcut. So Josh is now in the lead of the race. For now, we have to say that the provisional leader is still Dark Jr., but Josh is now out here, and the field's starting to spread out just a little bit. Frazier is just out of DRS. Ella is on the fringe of DRS. House is still about 2 seconds back of Ella, so he'll just continue to tow Krudervase and Matty 1 and 2 behind. Matty 1 and 2's in a position right now where maybe he can attack Krudervase going down the final straight. Let's see if anyone dives into the pits ahead. They do not. Let's watch Matty 1 and 2 now charge forward into turn 1. He chooses to stay behind. He is just going to keep getting towed and be happy with it. So right now we're looking at Matty 1 and 2, JP Hughes, and M. Watt, both of the Aston Martins, unfortunately with 3-second time penalties. Not the greatest, but, this is something that's predicted here. We are looking at everyone at the top of the field on the medium compound. It is the C2, and the soft is the C0 compound, which is very interesting because that means the hard and the medium compound, the C2 and the C3, are very, very similar, and there's almost no difference in them. So things to note for those in Tier 2 watching, that the hard tire and the medium tire are basically the same. So do with that information for what you will. We're looking at the top 3 cars coming in and out of DRS. Behind them, though, Dark HD overtakes Yassine, who may have had a mistake. Looks like he had a bit of a mistake. Falls back in the P9. Dark HD takes P8 away from him. Looking forward in the field now. Looks like Josh is going to stay out. Looks like Frazier's going to stay out. Looks like Ella's going to stay out. And House is staying out. Krudervase stays out. Matty 1 and 2, who is flying at him with the DRS because Krudervase did not have DRS. Matt chooses the inside line, gets past him cleanly, goes wide, definitely takes a track limit there. Krudervase behind him may have also taken a track limit there, as Dark Jr. goes fastest with an 18.7 on the new medium compound, but Matty 1 and 2 may be attacked right back at him. He is defensive, he holds the inside, he keeps it stuck, and he gets away. Brilliant racing. Great overtake from Matty 1 and 2. All these medium runners are surely at about 50% tire compound wear right now. It is not easy on this track to keep it stuck. But look at that. The sunshine's coming out. This track is ramped up. They must have some confidence in order to go this long here on their medium tires. So we have Matty 1 and 2 up into 5th place, making his way from, I believe, the 6, 7, 8 position at the start of the race all the way back up to 5th. Does have a 3-second time penalty, but he's showcasing what a strong Tier 2 car can do in the Tier 1 race once again this week. Heth has kind of dropped off the top pack a little bit. He is driving his own race. He had that wing damage. Matty 1 and 2 dives into the pits. He's trying to undercut the rest of the field. I love this play from him. He's going to try and put on the softs, do what he can to go forward. Unfortunately, Heth takes a speeding in the pit lane. This is a disaster, absolute disaster right now for the Haas team. They're going to have to work this out after the race, see what happened. But yeah, Matty 1 and 2 goes for the softs undercut. I love it. We're going to see what he can do. But you can see what the undercut from Dark HD did, because it created, let's see, about an 11, 12-second gap to Matt right now. So unbelievable. Big gap there. Dark Jr. is going to have to make a continued great run here on these medium tires to race back up the field. And, let's go look at the time to leader. He is only 16.8 seconds off the leader right now. he is in provisional first by about 4 to 5 seconds. So as long as he can get ahead when he undercuts everyone and make these tires last just a bit longer, because the soft runners behind him are definitely going to be faster, he's going to have to figure it out. Look at that. We have our top 3 drivers dive into the pits. Frazier takes 5 seconds. Guys, we got to work on our pit stops. Come on, we're better than this. Our top 4 cars dive into the pits. House chooses to stay out and go for the overcut. Let's see where Dark Jr. comes. He passes everyone. Look at the huge overcut. Dark HD takes 5 seconds into the pits. My goodness, we all have to work on our pit stops and realize that they happen way early than you think. Let's see what the undercut did for Matty 1 and 2. He gets past Crudervase again. He does slot out behind Ella, but he did gain about a second to her. So the 1 lap second difference was great. Look at that. Dark Jr. has a 5-second delta. 8 seconds to Josh, who was right behind him before that pit stop. So fantastic job of undercutting from Dark Jr. there. Yassine has stayed out late. House has stayed out long. We're going to see what these guys can do, because their best bet here is to overcut for a few more laps and then, put on the softs and fly. So we are back to our provisional standings. We see Heth on fresh softs getting past Matt Moore Island on 19-lap-old hards. We have a bunch of speeding in the pit lane penalties, unfortunately. But yeah, we have Ella right on the back of Frazier. House is finally coming into the pits. I think maybe he could have tried to go a little bit longer, because now he's going to get undercut by literally all of these soft runners behind him. Tough decision to make, but he has to do what he can to salvage the points now in his position. Yassine also dives into the pits. Brilliant stints from them to each go 20 laps. We do have a yellow flag in Sector 3. Someone's come off. Matt Moore Island. I don't know if he has damage. He does not. Just had a moment, though, on those hards. Kind of dangerously rejoins the track, but gets back in there. So not his race, unfortunately, so far. We do have Crudervase, though, making a move on House, because his soft tires are warmed up just a bit more than House. Not much House can do there. Has to cede the position and goes back down in the 7th place. So the 1 lap longer overcut didn't work very well. We look a bit forward. Braddy, Terror, Josh, 8 seconds behind our race leader. We'll have to watch their stint times on lap by lap and see what kind of difference they are to each other. But Josh has to worry and look behind right now, as Dark Jr.'s teammate Frazier is less than a second behind him, followed by Ella, followed by Matty 1 and 2. The top 5 have all closed up. Well, 2 through 5 have closed up together right now. So let's see what we got here on the straight. With Frazier deploying, Frazier carrying a lot of speed down the main straight, deploying some more. He is easily going to get past Braddy Terror. Gets in front of him. Does that leave him vulnerable to Ella? No, she is far enough behind, and Matty's far enough behind. So Frazier easily makes the move in the turn, even before turn 1. Gets up to in the 2nd place. We have a Red Bull 1-2 right now. Of course, Frazier's dealing with the 5-second speeding in the pit lane penalty. He surely rules him out for P1 in this race, but you never know what can happen the rest of the way. Josh utilizes the DRS to get right back behind him. We'll see what kind of pressure he can put on him as we move forward. Looking at the lap times, it looks like Dark Jr. has just hit his first cutoff, which means he's going to be approximately a second slower a lap than his first part of the stint. This is going to allow the soft runners behind to really hopefully work together, use the DRS, and work their way back to him in first place. We could have a really tight finish here, assuming these guys all keep it clean with each other as they work their way back. Braddy Terror now, right on the back of Frazier, coming around the last turn, takes some more of an inside line, gets behind him, opens up the DRS, doesn't even really have to deploy battery. They are really working together, it looks like, to just propel each other forward and try and get back at Dark Jr. as now the interval to him is 6.8 seconds. House goes wide in the turn 1, takes a 3-second time penalty. Half of our grid right now has a time penalty. It is very unfortunate. M. Watt as Matt Moore Island, oh no, drives off, loses it on those hards. His race is in a really tough spot. He should probably just get off those hards, put on some softs, try and take fastest lap, do whatever he can to just enjoy the rest of this stint, because it has just not gone his way, unfortunately. So, let's open up our penalties. Yeah, I can't blame Matt there. Just throws in the white flag. It's not his track, not his race. Props to him for giving it a go, but we move on. We're looking at Frazier with 5 seconds. Maddie 1 and 2 in 5th. House and 6th, each with 3 seconds. Heth and JP Hughes, each with penalties in 8th and 9th. So, kind of going to see what happens to the grid. It could get sorted around at the end of the race. We're going to look back at Frazier into turn 1. Once again, using each other to come back at Dark Jr. He gets past Josh Freddy Terror. They are really using each other as Matt's bot just gets in the way of cars. Oh, so stupid. That car should just disappear. Okay, it finally disappeared. Hopefully that didn't mess up Frazier. But look, they gained another second. 1.7 seconds to be precise to Dark Jr. up ahead. So, these soft runners have about 2 more laps before they hit their first cutoff delta. And we'll see what happens. Something happened to Maddie 1 and 2. He's kind of fallen off the pace a little bit. He was behind Ella, but has really dropped off. So, maybe made a little bit of a mistake. Not sure where he stands with the track limits, but falling off the pace. He's going to try and hold up House behind him, who has also a 3-second penalty, but he's out of the DRS. We're going to look forward now to Ella and Josh, who are continuing to slingshot themselves. It's brilliant strategy. It's almost like a gentleman's handshake and gentle lady between the three of them to really use the DRS, deploy their battery, slingshot each other forward. They're doing their best to catch Dark Jr. up ahead. Josh is going to have to make his move a little bit later here in the turn 1. Frazier gives him the space. Josh makes the move clean. Ella stays behind in DRS. They are now only 4.4 seconds behind Dark Jr. now. We'll see what Frazier does here. He has the DRS. He's not deploying. He's staying behind. So, again, keeping it within the strategy. They got about 8 laps to work with. 8.5 laps, actually, to work with. And they've already made up, the 12 seconds down the 4 seconds of interval that they had on the Dark Jr. undercut. I am looking at the tire deltas. They are approximately 10% different still right now. So Dark Jr. has not had the tire delta advantage yet. Again, the C0 compound is pretty powerful here, especially on the lower fuel that cars 2, 3, and 4 have right now. At some point, they will hit that delta difference, and they will be able to have pure pace equality. It'll come down to who's the better driver at that point. The question is, can they close the gap before getting there? Frazier slingshots off of Josh, goes up in the second place. Ella may not have had DRS. She did have DRS, so she's barely hanging on to them. House takes advantage of Maddie 1 and 2, who went defensive on the inside. House gets ahead, goes wide, allowing Maddie 1 and 2 to get back ahead. House sees the position, knowing that he went wide and made a mistake. We'll see if House now redeploys DRS here, gets on the battery, tries to retake the position from Maddie 1 and 2. They go side by side into turn 5. House breaks early. Maddie tries to switch back on the inside. Dark HD has had an issue. He retires in the pits. Okay, not going to create a safety car. That's good, because we really want to see the pace difference here. But Dark HD is thrown in the towel as well. Great battle between House and Maddie 1 and 2, swapping positions, giving it back when they know it's illegal. And hopefully they stop fighting so much, because they're falling away from the top 4 right now. But we'll keep watching that battle. It's actually allowed Krudervase to get back in it with them. Again, looking forward, we're going to probably see another slingshot scenario here, as Josh is less than a half a second behind Frazier. You can see, though, the delta to first place is chilling around 4 seconds. Josh does indeed slingshot, makes it clean. Ella has DRS behind them. She's just bidding her time, saving her tires, doing what she can. Dark Jr. has just kind of found his tempo up ahead. The tire deltas are closing in. It's now about a 7% difference. I think the softs are starting to equate those medium in the total speed category because the delta's not coming down as quickly. We'll see what happens, but I think Dark Jr. has just found enough pace where he can stay ahead, even though the cars are working together behind. Back further a little bit in the grid, we'll get a little recap here. We have Watt kind of racing his own race, has an outside shot of trying to get a point. Yassine is within points at 10th place, making his way back at JP Hughes, who has a penalty, who is 9 seconds behind Heth, who also has a speeding in the pit lane penalty, but he is 6 seconds away from Krudervase in 7th, who is in DRS range of Maddie 1 of 2, who is just out of DRS range of House, who is about 4 seconds back from his teammate in 4th, and he does carry a 3-second penalty. We see Frazier once again slingshotting off of Josh. These two are working brilliantly together. They gained about a half a second on that lap. They have 6 more laps to figure out what they need to do here to try and get back at Dark Jr. It is brilliant strategy, brilliant pace coming out of these guys. They're doing everything they can in their power to try and close the gap to Dark Jr. up at the front. Ella, we don't know what she's doing, but I can tell you she is bidding her time perfectly. She is just doing whatever she can to keep those tires just a little more fresh than the two in front of her, and hopefully she will find her moment to strike as we close into the ending stages of this race. Krudervase really closing in the back of Maddie 1 and 2 right now. You would think he would hold up just a little bit and make his move as he goes down the main straight, but we'll see what happens. He is really low on battery, so let's look forward to the slingshot happening, and then we'll come back and see if Krudervase makes a move on Maddie 1 and 2. Slingshot prepared. Josh has recharged his battery to almost full. It is incredible. They are doing everything they can to do the right thing up there. Look at that. Another position change. Josh slingshots his way. Let's look back now at Krudervase making a move on the Maddie. Frazier takes a 3-second penalty going wide into turn 1. That's unfortunate. That puts him well into risk of not even a top 5 position as Krudervase gets past Maddie 1 and 2. Let's watch now if Maddie 1 and 2 has enough in him to get back at him between turns 4 and 5. He turns on the battery. He is just a little bit too far back in order to make a move. Unfortunate there for him. Let's turn on the penalties once again and see what we're looking at. It is 8 seconds for Frazier. If that is the case right now, Frazier would fall all the way down to P5, maybe even P6. Not what you're looking for from this Red Bull driver, who is a title contender in 2nd place currently. He needs to try and keep it clean the rest of the way, and he better hope that the drivers around him have some penalties coming up, because it has really ruined his race from this amazing effort that he's done ahead. And if you look at it, he is much further back now from Josh. He does not have the ability to slingshot himself forward like he had earlier, and he's now very vulnerable to Ella behind him. So I think Josh now can't work with anyone. He's kind of on himself to try and hunt down Dark Jr. ahead. You can see Josh deploying because he knows he needs to do anything in his power to close that gap. A little bit behind, we have Maddie 1 and 2 right on the back of Krudervase into turn 5, trying to underbrake, brake late, does not have enough to get ahead of him. He does see Krudervase flashing. He will do what he can to get ahead, but he's also dealing with the penalty right now, so it's quite a challenge for him to do what he can. Looking ahead of the field, Frazier is really starting to drop off the pace. He is just outside of the DRS now of Josh, who is 2.4 seconds back of Dark Jr. ahead. Their tire deltas right now are only 3% different in Josh's favor. So you have to think that Josh has a little bit of a chance here if he can deploy in the right way. But Dark Jr. has saved a lot of battery in an attempt to keep Josh behind him. Ella, right behind Frazier, makes a move on the inside, doesn't even need to deploy a lot of battery, gets ahead of Frazier in the turn one. She has waited for her moment. She has on track gone up into a podium position after being patient for so many laps, sitting behind the two, slingshotting in front of him. Incredible patience, incredible effort. She's going to have to deploy to defend right now from Frazier behind. He doesn't have the battery to make a move and retake the position. So on track, Ella gets up into P3. It's a podium position. Looking down the field, we see Jacinto making a move on the JP Hughes up into 9th place into turn one after the main straight. Frazier's going to do what he can to stay in the back of Ella, but she does have a battery difference. Her tires are slightly better as Frazier has burned a ton of his batteries. Up ahead, Josh is still 2.4 seconds behind of Dark Jr., doing what he can to try and close the gap. But guess what? Their tires are now equal in wear, and Dark Jr. is on the slightly harder compound, so you will have to think that Dark Jr. is gonna have an easier time going into the later stages of the tire stint for the last 2 laps of this race. Let's see if Frazier has enough battery to go and attack back for his track position of P3. He does not. We'll look down the field a little bit as they've spaced out a lot. No one else is in DRS range. There are a ton of penalties, though, to mix up the field. Let's stay looking forward ahead as we have Frazier going with DRS into turn 5. He is just too far back. Ella looking for an outside shot here to come back at Josh and maybe take P2 away from him. She is closing in, knowing that she needs to get into his DRS right before the final straight, before the last lap, because that will be her best time to try and get P2 away from Josh. It doesn't seem like Josh is going to have enough to close the gap all the way to the front to Dark Jr., who has just nursed these medium tires to perfection. Unbelievable stint from Dark Jr. ahead. He saw the delta closing, but nothing he can do. Ella right on the fringe of being into the DRS. She's about to cross the line right now. I'm not sure if she got it. Let's see. It looks like she may have. Let's change our view and take a look as she gets up to the start-finish straight. She's out of battery. She does have DRS. Frazier does behind as well. She's too far back to attack this lap, but she's gonna, or on this straight, but she's gonna try and close the gap as much as she can to Josh to try and attack him on the turn 4-5 straight. Dark Jr. increases his gap to 3 seconds. Ella crosses turn 4, opens up the DRS, turns on the battery. She's too far back from Josh. He knows he has enough to stay ahead right now. They're both on equal battery. She's going to have to find something in her trick of bags to try and get ahead in the P2. We're really looking at a fight and battle for P2 right now. Further on the grid, Frazier's right behind them. He has a ton of penalties. House has a few penalties. So I'm not really sure what's going to happen here for P4 and 5, but we'll look ahead at Ella as Dark Jr. has opened up a 3.5 second gap now. He is coming on his last 4 turns. We're going to watch Ella, though, approach the last 4 turns as well, right behind Josh. She goes for as much curb and track as possible to try and get the better line. She has to do anything she can here to get the grip to get to the finish line. We look ahead to Dark Jr. swerving on the straight. He wraps up another win in BMRL. Josh crosses the line ahead of Ella, who closed the gap to 0.6. Frazier crosses the line, but what is that going to do with him as he drops the spot to House, who is currently P4? Let's see where Krudervase comes through. He's P6. Maddie 1-2. P7. Frazier is safe at P5, so it is a 3-4 finish for the Alfa Romeo team. Heth comes through into P8, taking his penalties. Yassine comes through the last turn. He comes up to the line. He crosses P9. JP Hughes, P10. And slowly but surely, we will have Mwat to scavenge a participation trophy, coming in, finishing the rest of the race with his chin and head held high. He does what he can and gets across the line there in 11th place. So, wow, Dark Jr., you went for the alternative strategy. You put on the soft tire. You showed the rest of the field that, yeah, you all can start on medium tires behind me, but I'm going to do a better job than the rest of you. I'm going to go as long as I can on these softs, undercut the field, know that I'm going to have to battle back, and just rip off the Band-Aid and fly on those medium tires. Unbelievable drive. Just insane. He was incredible and takes P1. So let me get over to our interview scene in just a minute and try and get some of these drivers to come talk about it. Sorry about that. I'm not sure if he wants to help me commentate or not, but yeah. So looking at the standings, we have 25 points for Dark Jr., increasing his lead in first place. We have Bratty Terror Josh with a P2 finish in second place. We have Ella getting P3, which should jump her in the final standings over her teammate into third place. And House bringing home more points into P4. Great race from those four. Frazier would have finished third on track, but unfortunately had a ton of penalties, drops him down to P5. We have Krudervase also dealing with some penalties, bring him down to P6. Maddie 1 and 2, Heth, Yassine, and JP Hughes rounding out the rest of the board. Really fun strategic race to see what would happen, but let's head over to our interviews, and I will try and get these guys in here. Let me mute myself and take a swig of water while I do this, and give me just a minute. All right. We have, first and foremost, congratulations to Ella, who finished P3 on the day. I'm trying to remind myself how many podiums that makes for her this season. I'm going to keep rambling while I try and go look at it. Driver standings, progress. That is her second podium. Her last one was second at Imola. Her bronze here at Portugal. She brings home great points for the team. So we congratulate her and move forward to our P2 finisher. Josh, congratulations. Welcome back to the podium. Well done. It was a P2 in qualifying after putting up an incredible flyer. You improved on it. Obviously, Dark Jr. Blew the field away, but let's talk about the start of the session. What was the weather looking like? I couldn't really see, and what was the strategy going into qualifying after a couple of great laps to start your week? Yeah, I believe maybe not your best ever quali lap here. I believe you may have done a 16.1, but a 16.25 is incredible, well worthy of a pole position. But again, sometimes you just have a Max Verstappen who's on another level and can put it up there. So, knowing that you were starting P2, getting to the grid, were you watching the race director at all to try and take a peek see at what your rival in position one was putting on before you decided to start in mediums? You did. I was going to bring that up. You had a great run off the line. I believe you overtook him, but then kind of had to back out and just kind of follow him from there. Was it surprising to you, considering that he was on the soft tire, that you were able to follow along and stay in the DRS for so long without him kind of running away? I was pretty much caught off guard by that, which, points to your great racing. So yeah, how'd you feel about staying in this DRS for so long?
So I dumped my battery and went past, and I realized about halfway through the lap I'm not going to pull DRS on him, so I just kind of dropped it again and then went back to what I was doing. But I was kind of caught unawares with the undercut. It completely messed me up. So yeah.
Yeah. Unfortunately, I had some audio issues and cut off your first answer to remind the field in qualifying. Josh put up a great lap, and he was pretty happy with it, and he felt like he could have not backed off as hard into the first part of his stint. But yeah, we got the audio working now. We were able to hear your last response, so thank you. And yeah, going in, you saw the undercut from Dark Jr. How did you feel then? What your strategy would be from that point forward, knowing that he just went 14 laps on softs? You knew he was going to undercut you. Did you put a timer on how many laps you wanted to go up until you pitted for your own softs?
Yeah, I kind of just did my own thing, my own strategy that I had in my head. I kind of was stubborn with it. Of course, if Fraser behind me pitted, then I would have done the same thing. But I just didn't realize how fast. And to be fair, I did the same thing in Monaco, where but I didn't realize how fast he was coming on the medium. So in hindsight, it was probably a better strategy to do the soft medium. So I would pit at the same time as him. So maybe for next time, that's what I need to do. But yeah, I was just kind of stubborn with it and did my own thing, irrelevant of what he did.
Yeah, I don't think there's much you can do, but about this fiend in front of you. But yeah, I think one of the other questions that some data analysts came to me saying, how do you feel about Dark Jr. equaling your total BMRL race wins? Is that a true statement?
It might be a true statement. I'm gonna act as though I didn't just hear that. I would say I'm gonna win every race till the end of the season, but I won't. I probably won't win any. So,
I think there's
yeah.
always a chance. You're a great driver. I think we know that you've been retooling your car. Working hard in that Williams. You've only been a part of a few races. You're currently 7th now in the provisional standings at 41 points. You're just behind fellow friend Moore Island by 2 points, and right in the thick of it to challenge the top 5. So you're bringing great things for Williams forward, and you had an unbelievable stint. The last thing I want to bring up, how was it? Obviously, a gentleman's agreement / handshake to kind of slingshot with Frazier back and forth. Was that fun to kind of do what you could with him on every lap to carry each other forward in the pace to try and catch up to Dark Jr.?
Yeah. I mean, yeah. It was enjoyable, to be sure. I think I kind of had to do it if I wanted to keep Ella behind. And I thought that was maybe our best chance of catching up to Doc. Of course, he was just on another level. But yeah, I decided when I got to about 90% battery that I'm gonna try and break from Fraser. But Ella came through and she was on a madness as well. So it's just one of them things. But I mean, congrats to Doc anyway. He was a great drive overall. And yeah, congrats for getting the 7 wins as much as it pains me.
Yeah, no. It's a great effort. Very noble of you to congratulate him, and we're all very much looking forward to seeing what your pace is like in Canada next week. So congrats
Yeah, thank you
again
very
on
much.
your P2.
Thank you.
Yep. And now our race winner once again. I believe this is his fourth time winning this season. Let me double check that. You can correct me if I'm wrong. We have you winning at Jeddah. You won at Melbourne. You won at China. You won at Monaco. This is number 5. Congratulations, Dark Jr. How are you feeling, buddy? Great win today.
Thank you. It was a less stressful race than Monaco and Spain. So it was much more enjoyable than those two races. So,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, definitely. You were able to show the field what a semi-professional hot lap was like. I think your banker was around a 16-1, which, you know, in my mind puts you right at the top of tier 1. I saw Josh do a couple 16-1s during practice this week. But then a 15-7 comes out of nowhere. Um, Absolutely smashes the leaderboards on my personal friends list on time trials. Where did that lap come from? Have you ever come close to those numbers before? Tell me about your quality session there.
Well, I did a 15.8 yesterday in time trial, so I knew I was aiming for the 15s, high 15s, coming into this quality. Um, but yeah, I was expecting a 15.9. I'd say was probably my best lap of the season. I've had some struggles in quality, even though it doesn't look like it, this season. But it's finally good to be satisfied with a lap that I put in.
Yeah, I believe you only used 2 of your 3 compounds, which most of the field did smartly to save a pair of C0s for the race. Were you looking at the rest of the field in your race director before choosing to do the softs, or was that your plan all along?
Well, I saw most people on me were on mediums, but I had this strategy in mind. I wasn't gonna let other people determine uh, what I was gonna do. So I just stuck with my original strategy of soft to medium, and yeah, it paid off.
It really did pay off. Uh, just unbelievable stint. Was it your game plan to go 14 laps, or were you just kind of trying to test the waters, see how the softs felt, and go as long as possible?
Well, I originally planned for 12, 13 laps in the soft, but safety car was up for 2 laps, so I
Yep.
pushed it another 1 or 2 laps further, which helped my medium stint as well.
I
So
did
yeah.
I did mention it early when the safety car came out that it would only help you go a bit longer into the race. That was just the best of fortune for you to be able to make those go a couple more laps because you made the delta last just a little bit longer. So, were you caught off guard by Josh and the other cars being able to stay within your DRS on those soft tires at the beginning of the stint?
Uh, Not really, no. It's, maybe if we had the regular start without the safety car, maybe, but on a safety car restart, it's very hard to pull away in 2 laps or so.
Yeah,
And yeah, I wasn't really trying to pull away. I was just keeping my battery for the second stint, where I could undercut and pull a big gap. That was the plan.
definitely. You obviously pitted on lap 14 for the undercut. You came out, I believe you were able to do 2 or 3 laps before the others came in, and you had actually made a 12-second gap. So obviously the undercut was so powerful, it put you in a great position, and you were able to just watch your delta run down and down and down as the drivers behind you were kind of slingshotting each other on the straight using DRS, and I'm sure you saw their names swapping every lap. At any point when you saw that delta coming down, were you concerned towards the end of the race that they may have a shot at catching up to you?
No, I didn't have any concern really. You know, yeah, the slingshotting certainly helped their delta. I think my gap at the end would have been doubled without their slingshotting. So I wasn't really concerned though.
Yeah, I saw you saved a lot of battery. You just cruised your way through the last 5 laps of that stint, and they never got under, I think, 2.5 seconds of you. So it was just an amazing stint. Uh, this win tentatively puts you at 161 points, which is about 52 clear of your teammate. and then it also puts your team at 269 nice points, which is almost 80 points more than Alfa Romeo behind you. So I think Red Bull has now finished a third of the season and is in a really strong spot. I guess my last question is, how do you feel for the rest of the season as we go into kind of like a Canadian and then European swing?
Well, I believe for the drivers, it's mine to lose. I have a nice gap now. So it hopefully maintain that, and constructors, I would say, I said it last week, the week before, I think we have it under wraps already. So
Yeah, it will definitely be a challenge for the other constructors to do their best to try and catch up. But once again, your 5th win of the year in just 8 races. Congratulations, Dark Jr. You were incredible. Go celebrate, and we can't wait to see you next week in Canada.
yeah, thank you.
Yeah, take care. All right, everyone. That was round 8 of our BMRL Season 6 Tier 1. We tentatively have a standings of Dark, Fraser, Ella, House, Niox, Matt Moore Island, Bratty Terror, Scythe, Frozen, and some loser named Jake Laser, who is tied with Heth for the final 10th position in the standings. We look forward to seeing you all in the 2-tier race tomorrow. Please tune in at 7 GMT. And next week, we will have the race at Canada for round number 9. Again, this was Jake Laser with you on commentary. Thank you for joining us through our first third of the season, and we look forward to seeing you all next time out. See you tomorrow for Tier 2. Take care.